So I know that a thing happened with Frito-Lay and screwing over one of their workers. I have not viewed the video. It's been sitting in my backlog. It's a thing that I've needed to get to, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. So we're going to get into that right now. We're going to talk about what the hell is going on with Frito-Lay. First, though, as always, fan art section. So, from Kumoeme, they said, got random motivation at 2 a.m. last night. Of course, this was at 7:21, so not last night, like 2 weeks ago last night. So it's their first fan art ever, though they've watched for like 2 years now. First of all, thank you for watching for 2 years. Holy shit. It always astounds me that there are people who have watched this channel for like a good portion of the time I've been online. It is always strange to me, but it's always super motivational. So thank you for that. Also, the fan art is fucking wonderful. I especially like the nails. I really like those, especially since like my character normally doesn't have them, so when they're there, they're neat. Anyway, next we have, well, if you know, you know, and if you don't, I don't want to traumatize you today. But this is from Purple Box. They said now that I've covered Full Metal Alchemist, they can unveil their most cursed fan art ever. And yeah, it is that. That is a thing. It is. Again, sorry for triggering any potentially horrible memories for all of you. As always, thank you all for the fan art submission. If you want to submit more fan art, cursed or otherwise, the best way to do so is dropping it into the fan art section. I was about to say the cursed section. I guess it is that right now. But yeah, do that. As always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. And, well, let's go ahead and get into this.
They are stalking us, recording my kids playing in the yard.
I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
I tried to hold it in, I'm sorry.
Okay, so apparently this is titled, How Frito-Lay Stole a Family's Future. I don't know exactly how to feel about this yet. Again, I have avoided anything on this. I want my reaction to be as genuine as possible, and any insight that I have not to be gleaned from any other particular YouTubers. Let's go.
So I got the job at Frito-Lay in January of 2011. Prior to Frito-Lay, I was in the United States Navy.
Also, Hidden Marty, Frito-Lay is a potato chip company and snack company that is a derivative of PepsiCo. They are a subsidiary of PepsiCo.
Leaving the service, he just needed to matter. He needed to belong and have a purpose. We both thought he found that in Frito-Lay, and so we kind of centered our life around it.
I worked hard. I bust my butt every day, in and out. Shit, my wife was gonna divorce me because she didn't even think I was at work for real.
No, I did not believe my husband just spent 20 hours at work. No one would believe that. He's not a doctor. It's chips. It's chips and dip.
I went on a stretch one time of like 26 days in a row.
Okay. This feels almost mockumentary at
I
first.
was using a dock door. You press the button and it automatically does what it's supposed to do. I got electrocuted. I was taken to the ER, but the emergency room they took me to was 45 minutes away. We passed
What the fuck?
4 hospitals on the way to the hospital they wanted to take me to. And the reason that is because they signed a contract with a certain hospital and a certain network.
From the
Yeah, that's so that's actually kind of normal here. When I was working at Quick Trip, it was the same thing. When I was working at McDonald's, it was the same thing. Literally, like they get healthcare through certain providers that they sign contracts with. Like that is unfortunate that we can't just go to what's nearest and most convenient. But that is also the unfortunate reality of how healthcare works here.
The very next day after the accident, my husband was never the same. He was working really hard to even just get up on to the side of the bed. Usually he's like hops out of bed and he hurries up, puts his clothes on, and he shoves food down his throat and he's out the door, in 30 minutes. He was used to it. He was trained to do that in the service.
When I say I was healthy as an ox, I was healthy as an ox.
Also, Blue Cat Chef says, I'm in America and that's new to me. It depends on the corporation you're working for. This is not new to me. And when I was a manager at Quick Trip, this is what I experienced. We basically had... It's just like when you have health insurance. You do things in network. Sometimes the network is based on contracts that are signed by the company.
We just didn't have any answers. They said he should have been fine, but he wasn't.
I didn't get any time off after the incident. I had to call off the next day as a sick day. I told you I was in pain. I told you it hurts when I walk. And it was like, okay, you know, are you gonna be here tomorrow? I was a site lead.
Well, of course he's not going to be there tomorrow. He's in fucking pain. Like, you're not going to get good work out of the guy if he's in pain like that. Like, so let me go ahead and explain a similar situation I was in years ago when I was working at Publix, right? And Publix is not a terrible company to work for, but this was an experience that I had. So I had massive tooth pain, and I'd been dealing with it on the job for weeks, mainly because I didn't have health insurance, I didn't have dental insurance, and I didn't have the ability to afford dental care. I didn't have the ability to afford a tooth extraction. I needed one desperately, but I couldn't afford one. It was well outside of my budget. So I just had to keep on dealing with it. For the record, I had a shattered tooth. My back left molar had shattered down, and as a result, there were exposed nerves, and I didn't feel the pain for a few weeks, but I guess there was just like that little bit of enamel left that had to erode, and once that was gone, I was fucked. So the day that I called out, it was very much the same kind of experience. Like, I was supposed to go to work that day in the morning, and I called into work. Unfortunately, when you're working in the morning near the opening of the store, it's really hard to call into work because they can't really get somebody in to replace your shift. So I called into work, and I was like, hey guys, I'm experiencing a shit ton of tooth pain. My tooth shattered a while ago. I've been dealing with it on the job with Oragel and stuff, but I mean, that's not enough anymore. I need to go get it extracted. That's what I'm doing today. And they were just like, okay, could you have scheduled this a different day? Bitch, no! I didn't have the money to. Like, it literally came down to, I got paid that day. My roommate handed me some money to help with it as well, and we just kind of threw me through fucking Publix. Like, no, I didn't have the ability to fucking schedule it a different day. I didn't have the ability to schedule it. Like, this was an emergency thing. I woke up unable to fucking move, and I needed that shit gone fast. And of course, we suffered for that anyway, because it was expensive and we didn't have the money for it. But we had to pay for it out of pocket with what we did have, so we had to skip a month of doing bills. Like, it blew ass, but that is the general experience of calling in sick with an emergency sometimes. Like, they just brush you off. And it blows, but a lot of places in the US don't give you, like, allotted sick days, so when I was working at Walmart as well, we didn't get allotted sick days in my department. You called in and you got an infraction, and depending on how many times you called in sick, it stacked your infractions up, and after a certain point, they could just yeet you. Like, just fucking horrible shit. But again, this is the norm here. I'm not saying this is the norm to try to, like, sweep any of this terrible shit under the rug. I'm saying it's the norm because this is what we deal with.
And I know what that entails. You're a leadership of the whole warehouse. So if you have to fill in, you have to fill in. I asked for some type of relief, period, because I was still obligated to work, like picking cases and unloading trucks or rotating product on a forklift. I asked for a chair that I could sit in that would make me more comfortable while I'm doing my office work. They denied it.
Yep, that is also normal. The only job I've ever experienced in the United States that have allowed me to sit down at the job that was not like an office job, which of course I'd never held, was Aldi. And Aldi is not a United States-based company. They are German, so I'm not even going to count them there. But I've worked Hardee's, McDonald's, I've worked Walmart. When I talk about McDonald's, I've worked at two different franchises, as well as one corporate location. And the rules at all of them were you couldn't sit. There was a point where I was loading sauces, like my legs were hurting a shit ton, but I was loading sauces into a crate, so that they had it for the morning shift, right? Like, cause they've got those little, like, pull-out crates for all the sauces at McDonald's, and I'm loading those sauces in, and I sit down to load them in because I've got a bunch of boxes next to me, and I'm filling a bunch of little crates of sauces. And I'm told by my employer, No, you can't sit down. You have to bend over. What? What kind of fucking up my back dumb shit do you think I'm going to do? Now, granted, I was 18 when this happened, so I wasn't going to fucking fight my employer on that. That would have been dumb. I would be a kid with literally no experience fighting that particular, like, battle at all. And even then, as an adult, I don't know if I would fight that battle either, because if you've got a job and you don't want to lose it, you don't piss off your employer. So, I mean, it sucks. But there is this stigma in the US that, you know, if you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. And if you're doing a job that you can sit down for, don't fucking do it either. I've seen similar stuff at Quick Trip. There's stuff we do where we go into the back. I say we. I've worked there for 3 years. It's a thing that's still stuck in my brain. But where we would go into the back and fill up ice. And certain managers would get mad at you if you were sitting down on a stool filling up 30, 40, 50 bags of these, like, 5 to 10 pound bags of ice. There is no difference in my workflow if I am sitting or standing. But there is a difference in my longevity on this 8-hour shift if I have an opportunity to sit first. But nope. You can't sit on the check stand, you can't sit when doing the ice, you can't sit when doing shit. Again, that particular one kind of fell down to which manager was on shift at the time. But if a district manager walked in, then you needed to be standing up at all times. So, I guess it really didn't matter at that point.
You're either 100% or you can't work. It just felt like they was just trying to push me out. Eventually, I got an MRI by my primary doctor, and he showed that I had 2 herniated discs in my back. And he was like, you shouldn't be doing anything. They could only fix it with surgery.
And my husband still had to work this whole entire time.
So he's now got liver disease, which is linked to serious electric shock, saying that for anybody who's an audio-only viewer. As well as a pinched nerve caused by the 2 herniated discs. Yep, that is, again, pretty standard for that, and that, again, is fucking horrible. Like, a lot of this stuff could be fixed by proper medical care, but he's apparently not getting that.
They had to remove 2 of the discs in my neck because they were bulging into my spinal cord. I wasn't getting enough fluid to my brain. If I didn't have the surgery, the doctor said any small fall or accident or something like that, and I would have been paralyzed from the neck down or dead. I still have to have surgery on my lower lumbar spine.
From the moment that he couldn't work anymore and needed short-term disability, Frito-Lay abandoned us.
I had to file for short-term disability and then long-term disability. Got approved for long-term disability, but that was months later. So no income coming in.
That's a picture of the car.
So when Frito-Lay is responsible for your damage, like the things that happen to you, what should happen in that scenario is you should receive at first workers' comp. Secondly, you should receive supplementary, like say AFLAC, if that is applicable to you. And then after that, if there is a long-term disability that is caused by the workplace, they should effectively be paying your wages, like, for the amount of time you're disabled. And if it's a permanent disability, well, they should be paying your wages for that entire amount of time. Like, it was up to that company to make sure that you were you were safe. And that company, in not making sure you were safe, fucked you over and are directly responsible for your inability to work. Therefore, they should owe you wages until death, like literally. And I'm sure there's somebody who's going to be upset about and try to defend the multi-billion-dollar corporation. And if you're going to defend the multi-billion-dollar corporation as opposed to the individual, maybe fuck off. Sheyokami says, same thing happened to my brother. No electrocution, but definitely back problems. He was fired before he could get workman's comp. Yep, that happens. I've seen that happen at Walmart as well. People get fired before they have the ability to file workers' comp. I've also seen weird shit. Like my manager in Department 82 received an injury at work and got it taken care of, but then like received an extra check in the mail from Walmart, like for $1,000 at one point, and no real explanation as to why. She told me she thought it might have been like hush money almost, like, hey, take this little extra bit, don't, take us to court or some shit. I don't know how much to believe that particular story, but that is a story that I heard while I was working there from my boss.
We were driving.
They require you to go to the doctor so many times, and the doctor has to say that you're in this condition over and over and over. But guess what? You don't have any insurance anymore through PepsiCo/Frito-Lay because they cut you off. I had to pay for that out of pocket too.
Thank you very much, Zozo Horror Show, for popping in and giving us your wonderful raid. Glad to know that your brand of madness is here mixed with Kana's.
Didn't have the money to do that.
Also, Brandon Trueblood, thank you very much for the follow as well. Also, can I just say that if you have a medical problem that you are suffering, this is just my personal opinion. If a large company has employed you and they are responsible for damages that you have suffered to yourself, part of paying your wages should also be paying your hospital bills. I'm not just talking about paying, whatever your hourly rate was. I'm saying your benefits should carry over as well. Are you a worker at that company anymore? Technically not. But did that company fuck you over for life? Yes. Should they pay your medical bills? Yes. And again, if you want to fight me about this in the comment section, if that's a thing you want to do on this video, go right ahead. I would love to watch you personally make a fool of yourself. That would be absolutely stupendous. Zozo Horror Show, thank you very much for redeeming, and oh well.
So guess what? I borrowed money or used credit cards or whatever I could. I even took money out my kids' piggy bank.
We had to take from our children to live.
And the doctor knew what was going on, so he was like, look, just pay half of what you owe every visit, and we'll just take care of the rest later.
Yeah, at that point, I would be saying don't pay, but that's just me. I mean, there's not a whole lot the doctors can do in that particular scenario. Like, they don't have perfect control over finances.
I never wanted to have a lawsuit, just not me. But I did ask for help, and I wasn't getting it.
Frito-Lay, Pepsi's.
So for those who are audio only, Frito-Lay stalked them and started taking footage of them to prove that he wasn't disabled so that they could avoid paying the money. How fucking petty do you have to be as a company? How absolutely fucking petty?
Sedgwick, whoever has people following my family, they are stalking us.
Just to find something to be like, oh, he's okay.
Recording my kids playing in the yard, recording me doing yard work. They follow me in traffic, on the highway, on streets. They follow me when I gave birth to my baby. They follow me to my daughter's school. I took my daughter out of school and decided to homeschool because I don't know if we're safe.
Yeah, when a giant fucking company is literally stalking you at all hours of the fucking night, yeah, no, that's not okay. You know what? No, I am a very defensive person when it comes to stuff like this. Very defensive. I would not be upset at all if the family decided that whoever happened to be, photographing them or filming them at any particular point just got shot in the eye with a Nerf gun. Like, they just kept a fucking Nerf gun, like, loaded with two kinds of ammo. One covered in ink so that you could just, like, shoot it into a camera lens. I mean, that's not going to work out very well, but you can definitely pelt somebody with a caliburn. Like, caliburns are very accurate, and they leave very big welts. I would totally do that, assuming that this was happening to me, and I wouldn't be mad at anybody who happened to did that. Wow, I can't speak. I am an idiot.
I don't know how many people they've given our address and name and information to just to prove my husband wrong. They've done it for years.
So a thing that happens here, which is terrible, right? Like, let's take me. I've got pretty bad knees, right? Like, the cartilage doesn't work, like, super well in them, and I feel my knees grinding up against each other a lot. I've had this issue since I was, like, 18, and as I've gained weight, it's gotten worse, and it's also made it harder to lose weight, because going out hurts. There are days when it's less bad. A company like Frito-Lay will take, let's say that this was a more debilitating injury. A company like Frito-Lay will take footage of one of your good days and then use it as an example and say that you're not chronic. They'll say that you are not suffering from a chronic illness or chronic pain because they will take one of your good days. Or one of the days where you happen to be hyped up on painkillers so you can grin and bear it easier. Like, a lot of that stuff, they will take that and use it as evidence against you. So you end up having to suffer because they are filming you. And if they are not seeing you suffer, then they have evidence against you. And that's fucking cruel. But that is legitimately what happens in situations like this. They are trying to see you not suffer. And if you're not suffering, then they think they've got a case against you. So you have to be constantly suffering. So God forbid you have a smile cracked on a good day.
Why are you fighting so hard to say that I'm not hurt instead of just look at the paperwork, look at the medical stuff, look at everything I've been through? You would think that I'm a bad employee the way that everything has went. I've never done anything wrong to this company or even with this company. I have numerous awards to show that I'm not a person that you just throw away. I knew the sales side, I knew the operation side. I mean, hell, you could have just let me be a lead and just manage instead of physically working.
They could have done that, but there's a reality that nobody here is considering, apparently. To corporations, you are a number. You are not a person. You are only as useful as the bottom line that you can provide them. And that is not a defense of the company. That is a cold reality. And it is fucking terrible. It should not be that way. People as individuals should matter to corporations because individual people become stars of the show. They become the reason that a corporation succeeds. But they are only seen as numbers. They are only seen as a means to an end. And in Frito-Lay's eyes, he is no longer a means to any end except them losing money. He's not providing them with labor. He is not providing them with revenue. He is not providing them with facilitation towards product. None of that. So in Frito-Lay's eyes, he's useless. So they're going to try to stalk him to prove he's useless. Now that's fucking awful. That's terrible. But if you've ever worked at a large corporation, at a retail vendor, at anything, that's how they view you. That is exactly how they view you.
Billion-dollar corporations like Pepsi, which owns Frito-Lay, they know this is happening to people.
Yep.
And they do nothing about it. My husband shouldn't have to fight for 5 years over something that took less than 5 minutes to impact our entire life. He pushed a button at work, a button he can't avoid pushing. He has to push it. It's his job.
For a company that talks about diversity and culture and a family-oriented business, family don't just throw you out because you get injured.
So businesses that say that they are a family-oriented business, that they treat everybody like family, are liars. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I know you probably have a wonderful job. Not people in this video, but you watching. You might have a wonderful job, and you might love the work atmosphere, and it's so great, and it's wonderful, and it's just fantastic. The minute you stop being useful, you will be disowned. You will be thrown under the rug. You will be no less than chewing gum that has lost all of its flavor and has been stepped on by several fucking boots. That is all you will be in the company's eyes. That family-oriented atmosphere dissolves the minute you stop being useful. I know, because I've been in several family-oriented atmospheres, where we had Christmas parties, and holiday get-togethers, and company-wide picnics, and all kinds of neat shit. I even foot raced against my district manager in a company picnic. It was so great. And then the minute I needed to file for FMLA, yeah, no, that was a long fight that I ended up having to abandon. Because fuck me. That's how it works. And it blows dick. Any job that is trying to say that your family is trying to put you into a state of security. A security which has not been properly earned.
The company makes over $200 billion a year, okay? It's chips. But my husband is worth $0 to them because he's no longer able to push those chips.
Yep.
You are a number. You're a piece of property. I bust my butt for them. Blood, sweat, tears, sacrifices, holidays, birthdays. I miss so much family things because they make you feel like if you don't do what they say, they will let you go.
Yep.
I don't even know where to go from here. Honestly, all the life goals and marriage goals and family goals that we had are gone. And I just have to figure out how to survive. And my goal and hopes and dreams now is for my husband to get back healthy and still be alive with us in the future. He dodged bullets in the city of St. Louis growing up. He dodged gangs. He stayed out of all of that. He went to war. He dodged bullets and bombs and came back to me. And now he's been electrocuted at work. We don't know what's gonna happen from day to day. My husband stops breathing at night in his sleep. I have to wake him up at night to make sure he keeps breathing. I have to help with my children who don't understand they can't jump and play with daddy.
I mean, I just went from a very fit guy to a guy who is disabled and can barely just handle regular life stuff. I'm 36. I should be able to play with my kids in the yard. I just want my life back.
And yet, Frito-Lay will not care. And that's disgusting. So what do we do in situations like this? Well, I'm going to bet. I'm going to make a prediction here. Okay. Let's see here. Does Frito-Lay have a union? Okay, so they apparently have a long-standing partnership with unions. Okay. That's something, at least? That is something, at least. Which is good. So we have something here. Why hundreds of Frito-Lay workers have been striking. Let's take a look. Workers at Frito-Lay in Topeka, Kansas say it used to be one of the best jobs in town, a place of shared meals, group outings, and community. Yeah, we just went over all that. In recent years, those employees and union members say the facility where Doritos, Cheetos, and Tostitos have been made become another toxic work environment. Hundreds of Frito-Lay workers at the facility are in week 3 of a strike over what union leaders describe as long hours, forced overtime, stagnating wages, and a diminished quality of life. It is the first strike in the plant in decades of operation. So there is a union for some of this, which is at least good. As for next steps, I don't know what I would necessarily advise here. But what I can say is, again, this is fucking horrible, and should show that corporations, just in general, are not your friend. That's not what they're here to do. Though we should probably try to work towards making it to where they can be. Usually by making sure that workers have a shit ton more power in the workplace, where the corporations have to operate like your friend. But with that said, this is where I throw the conversation back over to you guys. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. I know that this is, for some people, a bit of an emotional roller coaster of an episode. I know that this is probably something that some people have dealt with in their real lives. So let me know in the comment section below. Have you had something like this happen to you as well? With that said, if you want to support the channel and what I do, the best way to do so is located in the description below, as always. Also hit the like button, subscribe, and follow if you haven't already, and insert into video tagline here.